and establish eye contact clearly. I will be using our names often and regularly. Please be aware that even if it does not appear I am looking directly at you, I am. Please remember we have viewers online, both tonight and live as well in the future. I have asked Kevin to keep the feed running as a visual reminder to us that we do have other people watching. I ask that you speak clear and refrain from covering your mouth while speaking, unless you're wearing a mask. And we will be following the council rule 5.2.1, which is the order that we discuss our agendas. So I just wanted to welcome everyone and just start the meeting off strong. But we will yield the floor now to our sheriffs.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the new members. December was great. We didn't have a ton of differentiation between November and December. The biggest I would say was our suspicious calls went down by a lot. We previously had 34 suspicious calls, so that whether that's vehicles, people, activities, something happening through the month, we only had 10 in December, which is good. That means there's a lot of us out there circling around. We don't have as many things happening that are suspicious. Traffic stops also went down almost by half, which is, in my eyes, people are actually following traffic laws now. The 20 miles per hour down 3rd is caught on, so that's a good thing. Other than that, there wasn't too much difference. We had 276 calls in December, 282 in November. So just a very slight drop. The Lafayette deputies, your contract deputies, myself and Deputy Meade handled 58% of those calls, which is a little bit of a jump from November at 55%. And OSP, rural patrol for the sheriff's office, and detectives who have come into the city to do any investigations handled 42% of those calls. So still up for the contract deputies. And that's really the biggest differences. Is there any questions or anything anybody wanted to discuss as far as the sheriff's office goes?
Just real quick, Sheriff Matlock, are you still the evening patrol then?
Correct. Okay. Swing shift. So I'm here until midnight, Wednesdays to Saturdays. So you do not have a contract deputy on Sunday.
Yeah. Okay.
Anybody else?
Good.
Nice work.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Approval of council minutes is our next item on the agenda. Do we have any questions or clarifications?
Neither of those. I have a comment.
Yeah.
I see that we're now putting who the minutes are prepared by. I really like that. So at the bottom there.
Wonderful. Okay. Preston, I did have one question for you. When documents are referenced in the minutes, should they be attached, or is that something completely separate?
It's something different.
Okay.
Minutes just record the significant council actions,
Okay.
discussions.
I'm just curious.
You bet.
Okay.
All right, I move to approve the city council meetings from December 8th, 2022.
I'll second that.
All in approval?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, we approved the minutes for the December 8th meeting. That puts any additions or deletions from the agenda? No, okay, so we will move forward with our agenda as printed. We have now come to our time of non-agenda items. If you have a desire to speak, I ask that you wait until you are called forward, and if possible, to please come up to the podium. That will allow us to capture you on the recording, the microphone, as clearly as possible. Please come up, state your full name and your address for the record. I'd like to ask you to also please be aware that the standard allotted time is 3 minutes, although it seems we'd never really need to stop people at that. But just remember that we do have a full agenda, and even though I firmly believe that the citizens' input is important, if we need to, we will need to establish time permits. So is anyone, hey, come on up.
Sarah Horst, I live at 134 South Madison Street. And I just wanted to thank Preston for his time here. I work at the elementary school and I'm on the PTA. And Preston always had an open door, open phone policy for me. And I just wanted to thank him for that and hope that Brandon has the same. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Is there, Travis?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Hillary. Travis Johnson, 1002 Market Street. I also just want to thank Preston for 12 years here and all that you've done for our community. And I want to give a hearty welcome to Brendan. Welcome and thank you, Mayor, for leading the meeting off strong, and the legacy counselors and the new counselors. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Travis. Let's go ahead with Greg and then we'll go over to.
Go ahead, Ken.
Okay.
I'll be real brief. These guys kind of took what I was gonna say as well. I appreciate your continuing council members and welcome all the new council members. And like to say that over the years, I've worked with every city administrator we've ever had. And Preston through the years has been second to none. And really appreciate what he's done for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Greg.
Greg Goulart, P.O. Box 1077. Happy New Year,
Happy New Year.
counselors. Congratulations, Mayor and new council.
Thank you.
I'm actually looking forward to this year and the next couple of years. We have really high expectations for you, sir. Very high expectations. So welcome. Happy New Year. Happy birthday. And I don't know if I'm going to be here for the whole meeting, so I wanted to make some points about some of the agenda items in case I'm not able to speak during that time. And Preston, I'm sorry. Preston, thank you, sir. Your door's always been open to me. Your phone has always been available to me. You've always gotten back to me, and I really appreciate that. I think you've done a lot of good things for the city. So I thank you. It's not an easy task. It's not an easy job. And so I appreciate it as well. Thank you. Mayor, you mentioned there was a 3-minute time limit, and the way I understand it, a time limit may be
That's what I was trying to.
Typically, it's been 5 minutes, but you
okay.
said 3. So whatever it is, you're the boss.
Okay.
Right? So you dictate the time limit.
Thought I had read 3
And
somewhere.
I can understand if there's a million people
That's-
wanting to speak, you might want to keep it down at even less than 3 minutes.
Wasted
That-
a minute of your time.
I've done that.
Yes, no.
I know.
So I do not want to,
Good stuff.
A minute.
I do not want to impose.
So, check signing authority, it seems like the agenda might be out of order there. You guys are gonna see who's doing check signing, but then later on, you're gonna pick a president of the council. So I'm not sure. I was a little confused with that. And then the
Hey,
water.
maybe I can help you. We have a different motion.
Okay,
We're leaving it fill in the blank.
It's typically the council president is the second.
Right,
signer for the
right.
council. So the motion will be a little different than whoever the council appoints next month
gotcha.
would be
Okay.
on the check sign.
All right, that makes sense. Yeah. All right.
I had the same question.
And then this wastewater support services, 83K. Whoo, I hope you guys actually really deeply consider this. And I'm not sure if there's an option to send one of our current folks for training to get up to level 3. I don't know what our levels are, what our current, I think his name's Ron, running that wastewater.
Too.
Okay, and so and on the other side of that, maybe it's cheaper, we just get fined every month or something rather than pay 83K, for these services. So please, I don't know the details, but please look into that. And then just one other suggestion, I've suggested this before. I suggest that the sheriffs present their report after citizen input, in case there's citizen input about the sheriff's department and or problem areas in town. I've suggested it before, it hasn't been changed, and maybe it's because of their schedule. But good luck, Happy New Year. And my door and my phone is always open and available. So I appreciate it. Thanks.
Great. Please don't be a stranger. Please keep showing up.
Yeah.
You may regret.
I have a 17-year-old, so he's keeping me busy these days, the last 3 months. So.
Hey, do we have any more citizen input on non-agenda items? Once, going twice, okay. And at this time, we will move into our action items. Our first item to discuss is an RV permit occupancy for 969 Bridge Street. And I'm going to yield over to our city administrator to give us a staff report on that.
Thank you, Your Honor. Not anything much to report here other than Arth Cranmer, the owner, was asked to come back on January 12th for the council meeting, provide a status on conditions and where you were at from the last discussion. You might recall that the council allowed an RV occupancy permit through tomorrow, January 13th. So that's all I had to report, Your Honor.
President, I have a quick question. Did we ever, I didn't recall receiving any emails regarding, there was references to prior violations. But I don't recall receiving an email with an explanation on those.
You should have. Council received all that.
Okay.
It's been, it was right after the last meeting.
Councilor Gilligan or Drebin, did you receive that email?
I believe so. I can put it up here.
Yeah,
I think it came from Kevin.
it came, yeah.
Okay.
Is that right? It came from Kevin? I don't expect you to know where.
The memo is
It's not a
from
great question. Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Cramner, do you have anything you want to?
My son here could speak for me.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Start with Pleasant Ridge. Hope everybody had a happy new year, good Christmas. Didn't lose a bunch of hair. So.
Sorry,
at the
sorry,
last
again,
meeting-
can you state your name since
Oh, I'm
you're
sorry.
speaking on behalf of your father?
Mike Cranmer.
Okay.
I'm speaking on behalf of Arthur Cranmer.
Okay.
And I live in Sherwood.
Okay.
During the last meeting, the other mayor and the council asked that they granted the 60-day permit, and they asked that we get something in writing from the Yamhill County Housing Authority. That is a feat that is easier said than done. I have been on the phone with my brother and sisters, and sister-in-law have been on the phone and been down there. They wouldn't get nothing. I've been calling every day for the last 2 weeks. All I get is a voice message, and then I get put with the, I finally got moved up to the director. And her voicemails, everybody gets voicemails, and her voicemail said that she would call me within 2 days. That was a week ago. I've heard nothing. So I had them jump on their account, because they can do that online. And she's printed up some documents here that show that they are on the housing, that they have been on it since 2018. And, they won't give you any kind of, they won't say if it's gonna be 6 months, a year, 5 years. They won't give you anything like that. This is all that they will allow you to have from there. I do have their counselor's name and phone number on here, but be aware that their counselor is a new counselor and she's in training for the next 2 weeks, and you will not be able to speak with her, just her voicemail, and she, you know, it'll be tough. So, but I have this to present to you for documentation.
Okay.
That we have been trying to follow through with getting some dates. That's, you know, the number one thing I wanted was dates. And the only dates that I was able to get was that they've been on the thing since 2018. And this is current as of 1/5.
Yep.
So do I give this to somebody?
Thank you.
Does council have any questions? I guess my question is, now that we are at, you know, we did a emergency permit, what are you requesting? I'm assuming, you know,
Well, I'm
requesting not to be,
I'm gonna have to, I'm requesting an extension, I guess,
okay,
yeah.
How long are you, like, so going back to the November discussion, right? We wanted to understand, we're talking about 3 months, 6 months, a year. I think it's easier for the council to make a decision when we have a date in mind where we say, hey, we're trying, you know, an emergency measure.
Understood.
So, you know, you say that they've been on the wait, you said they've been on housing, you're
On the
talking about the wait
housing.
list?
Yes, they're on, okay, so the way it works, correct me if I'm wrong.
she wants to correct you.
Right, actually.
Yeah.
As far, I'm Jamison Cranmer, my husband and I live in the RV. Or staying in there anyway. As far as what's going on, we've gotten in contact with YCAP. And they are out of funding. They had special housing vouchers just for people. They're out of funding. They're losing the project turnkey on top of that. So we were unable to even get into the motel. What I do know is they had an orientation, the housing did yesterday. So names are gonna be pulled again within the next 3 months. We've decided that if our name doesn't come up within those next 3 months, by summer, we can be back out in tent and it's not an issue because it's summer then. But other than that, it's like he broke his ribs on the 22nd. I got a hernia, so it's just kind of been slowing us down a little bit. But we're not really asking for anything more than wait till it gets warm enough that if we don't get it inside by then, it'll be safer to have the kid outside.
You're saying in the tent?
Yeah,
Okay.
but in the summer is not a big deal. We do most camping in the summer anyway, so.
I think your husband wants to.
I'm Daryl. I just want you all to know that we're not just asking for a place for us to stay. I'm also there to help my mom and dad. When my mom fell down, we broke the collarbone since the time that we've seen you guys. My dad has fell down several times. They need somebody to help them keep track of their meds. You know, that's what I do. I'm also helping fix their house. You know, they need help just as much as I need help. So
I have one more question.
yeah.
Is the administration willing to provide a 1 or 2 month permit, being that it's a new year, a new calendar year, while we hopefully wait on some documents?
Just make that part of your motion.
No, I'm asking, you have the purview to accept or reject. I'm saying, are you willing to accept that?
You can accept a permit and it would. To go
And
through
it-
minutes
I don't have the authority to grant that.
in a calendar year.
No, you do. So just make the motion and I'll write the permit for
Yeah.
whatever it is that you want to do.
I'm going to quickly jump in
Yeah.
and make a motion to extend this for a period of 1 month as of now, and we can revisit.
Okay, before we jump to that motion, I do want to follow our thing. Is there anyone else in the audience
Sure.
that has a comment? Yes, Kenny.
Kenny Schweiger, 710 Water Street. I'd just like to acknowledge that Ernie there has been a leading member of our planning committee for many, many years. And he's been a real productive citizen to our town. And any courtesy that the council can show him, I think would be a good a good trade-off for his many years of service.
I'll second Lee's motion.
Okay. Before we move it to,
It's an.
okay, that's not what,
I think the council can deliberate.
there's deliberation.
I think the council can
Yeah.
deliberate.
Okay, so.
Yeah, it's,
I just have a quick question. If I recall correctly, they were using the bathrooms and water in the house. Nothing was
Yes.
connected to the RV. Is that
Right,
still the case?
the RV is not connected to,
No, it's keeping them.
all they do is sleep in there.
My recommendation, because Oregon weather is cold, it should be extended and they should be coming back to us in March or April. Does anybody have a preference for
I
1
just
month
want
or
to get
two?
this
over with.
out.
I would say
Public
April,
purview.
March,
Yeah.
April. Would you think, probably April, March can be good.
So I move to extend the permit through April,
Can counter motion.
through April 14th, 2023. And ask that you guys come back to our meeting Thursday before.
Okay, what date is that?
That would be April
It's the second Thursday.
13th.
13th, okay. Absolutely. And I will continue to try to get a hold and get something. And anybody is more than welcome to try to verify what I'm saying.
No,
but
No,
it's just-
no.
it's,
You gotta
and
call.
just so you know, the way this works is, they don't find them housing. They have to find their own housing,
We understand that.
right? So,
So
and then they'll authorize it.
I
Anybody
will
second?
ask you to withdraw my motion
Okay.
and second Kayla's.
I have a question.
Okay,
It says here, well, it's defined as an emergency RV occupancy. Do we have a definition of what emergency means?
Well,
And considering that, their request for housing has gone on for 5 years, you know, the potential to go through this every couple of months or so is, I think is a real possibility.
I don't disagree, but with it being winter months and a child being involved, I consider this an emergency. And I understand how the housing system works and people can jump the line all the time. It depends on needs of family, children involved. And so I understand the struggle they're going through. And so since this is winter, this would be a different conversation if we were talking in July. But
I think the emergency came from, they applied for a permit, were denied, and they needed a quick decision.
Yeah.
So I think you're reading from the November meeting in emergency. Yeah, I wouldn't call this emergency, I'd just call this an extension.
yeah, or a temporary permit or,
Right.
okay,
And then as Tamsin stated, they're happy, as soon as it's warm enough, she said they would move. You know, they would go back to the tent. But when you remember when we did this, it was November and it was that big cold freeze
Mhm.
going on.
okay.
Appreciate your time.
Any more deliberations needed? Okay, call it to a vote. All those in favor of extending or permitting a temporary permit to Art Cramner for their RV occupancy. Kayla, what was the date you put it through?
April 13th.
no, that's
No.
the meeting,
14th.
April 14th, and ask that they come back April
Okay.
13th.
Through April 14th, and to come back April 13th to discuss it further. All those in favor?
All right.
All those opposed?
There was no second.
I may be.
Yes, Counselor Gill.
It may be out of line, but I do want to interject something in
Okay.
this too. I'm
Go ahead.
Mark Brenner.
Yeah.
I'm the owner of the property.
Uh-huh,
Road and Center.
okay.
You don't have to, guys, just stay right there.
Yeah, you're okay.
You're fine there, Art. Unless you want
Well,
to.
I just want you all to know that I've lived there for 35 years plus. And when I bought that place, there was nothing in the contractor at the title company had to say that there were issues like this on the books. And at that time, there probably weren't. So then we lived there for my wife and I and the kids. And we raised horses, we had Christmas trees, we had this and that, and I never freeloaded off this city once, and I don't intend to. But a few weeks ago, well, actually more than that, here a while back, I had a renter in one of my places over there and I couldn't get rid of him. He made a mess, and the officer, one of the officers came over and told me that, well, you gotta get this cleaned up. I said, well, how do I get these people to move? And he said, well, you can't. You can't. He said, if you let them stay here one night, that's it. You can't do anything. So I went ahead and footed the bill for all the cleanup, hired girls to come in and paint, and I did the total thing on my cost.
Mhm.
And then so here a few weeks ago, an officer and one of the code enforcers come down to the house, and we were working outside there. And he told me the same thing, that you can't get rid of renters if they don't want to, and they don't even have to pay you.
Mhm.
And so, but I got it cleaned up, and then the 2 weeks ago, they got in my house, they offered me a citation, a ticket.
Okay.
So then it said on there that they would charge me $250 a day for every day that they were in that motorhome or mobile home without a permit, and so they went right up there and took care of everything. But as far as I know, that citation is still floating around here somewhere, and I want that cleared up.
I believe that has to be handled with the municipal court.
Mhm.
If I recall correctly, you guys had some court hearings scheduled.
Well, so we talked, the issue that Preston is referring to is this issue right here, that he's explaining to you all, the memo that you guys didn't get, or haven't seen. So, but this was what? 5 years ago?
Which one?
With the renters.
About
4 years ago.
Yeah, about 4 years ago.
Yeah, 3 or 4, something like that.
Yeah.
And nobody has ever told us that we were causing a hazard or any objections to the motorhome where it's at. It's off the street. It's on my front yard.
Mhm.
And I just couldn't. And when they first came out, and my son and his wife, they first came to do a urgent care or whatever they call that
Uh-huh.
for older people. Not me, but anyway, so that's sort of the gist about it. I mean, I just wanted everybody to understand that we're not doing this to freeload and try to get something for nothing.
Thank you for sharing more about that. We also heard testimony about your long-standing the community member and your history. And